Welcome to eAssist Growing Your Dental Business podcast. Tune in as the experts in dental business share tips and tools to grow your practice. To learn more, visit dentalbilling.com. Please welcome our next guest.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Growing Your Dental Business podcast, where we explore strategies and stories from some of the most inspiring minds in the dental industry. And today I am thrilled to introduce you to Samantha Jones. Hi, Samantha.
Hi, guys. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hey, it's so fun having you here. And I'm going to just kind of go through your bio a little bit. You know, Samantha is the visionary CEO and founder of CreateWise Movement and the WOW Readiness Program. So she has a couple of things she's been working on. And today I'm excited to tell you a few things about her. She is a highly respected professional speaker, consultant. She is a software creator, recognized as a thought leader in the dental industry with a remarkable career spanning 3 decades in August, right?
That's right. I'm about to celebrate my 30th year in dentistry.
I love that so much. And Samantha is often called the Marie Kondo of dentistry because of her unique approach to organizing dental practices, which often we all know that a dental office can be a chaotic environment. So this is something that is very needed. We need a Marie Kondo of dentistry.
Here I am.
I'm so happy to give you that title. I love that. And she is more than just a dental expert. She's a dedicated wife, a mother, a charitable leader. She has a commitment to empowering underserved women through job readiness workshops that she does a few times a year. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And she launched an innovative software designed to promote workplace organization, to help a practice with clarity, helping dental practices thrive like never before. So I am so excited to have her here, and we're going to dive into her journey and discover the secrets behind her success. And we're going to learn how she helps practices get more organized so they can thrive. And welcome again, Samantha.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful to be here. I just think you're amazing, and I love eAssist. It's done such great things for the practices that I talk to. So I'm just excited to be here. Thank you.
Oh, well, I'm so excited for you to be here too. And thank you.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your journey. Can you share a little bit about your journey in the dental industry and kind of how it led you to the creation of CreateWise Movement?
Yeah. Well, it's been a journey, that's for sure. I mean, 30 years, we could talk all day about the journey itself, but to kind of wrap it up, I started my career 30 years ago. My first job, I sat in a treatment coordinator seat. That's halfway true, actually. The very first position that I had was sort of my summer high school job where I stuffed paper charts with route slips. It was like the old school dinosaur days stuff. I actually love the fact that I've been able to see the evolution of our industry, and I've had the pleasure and joy of being able to sit in many different seats. So I went from stuffing some routing slips with a terrible title of floater to then moving their seat, which I loved. That was a position that I just absolutely loved carrying. I had a lot of great patient interactions and conversations, and was able to see patients, go from this kind of smiling to this kind of smiling, which was really heartfelt and meaningful and purposeful in the work. I went on to be a practice manager in that same practice. I was there for about 16 years. And, through all of this, there was all of these dynamics that were happening in my personal life, right? Because we're not separate of that in the workplace. Sure. We often talk about that with practices through an exercise that I call threshold work, because I feel like sometimes we have this expectation that we completely shed this personal version of ourselves when we walk over the threshold of the practice. And that's just simply not true. And so all of my other parts were a part of my journey and my career too, and actually really contributed and were the catalyst for my continued ambition or drive to kind of keep going in the industry. As you mentioned in my bio, I have 2 children. And when I very first started my career, I was a single mom. When I was a treatment coordinator, I was a single mom, and it was a very challenging part of my life. In full transparency, I was struggling financially to make ends meet. And so during that time, I was not only sitting as a treatment coordinator during the day, but at night I would moonlight with my own little side hustle that I had, where I was cleaning dental practices with my baby attached to the front of my body as I worked through that. And that was part of the journey. And that just kept me going. I stayed very curious about what that meant and what that would look like for me. And I fortunately was working for an individual that really valued continuing to educate his employees. And so I had opportunities to go to classes and conferences, and I had coaches and all of those things during that early part of my career. And I really think that that exposed me to this idea that there was more that I could accomplish. And so I kept going. I managed that practice. And then during a class at one point in time, I struck up a relationship with the owner of a coaching company. Actionable was the name of that company at the time.
Yeah.
And I was able to build a relationship with them and get a position working with their company. And that just opened me up to a whole new world. All of what I had learned was still present in like coaching and being a part of many different practices, but there were all these different nuances as well. So I kept going. I recognized a pain point as a coach in that space and felt a need for another part of coaching, part of that industry. So I developed CreateWise Movement, and CreateWise Movement is really, really about just intentionally operating throughout the day-to-day in the practice, but also paying really close attention to what that means on the personal side of things as well. I think, just going back to the beginning of all this, I think that marrying that personal and professional side is where the sweet sauce is. Like, if you can do those things, you can experience some, high performing, happy, highly retained individuals. And I truly believe that. I've seen it happen through the efforts of organizing a practice and paying attention to the personal development of the people that work there. So in a very short nutshell, that's been my journey. And I don't regret any part of it. It was all meant to happen the way that it did. And it's been an interesting ride for sure.
I love it. I love it so much. What a beautiful story. And the way I don't know, I just love the way you explain how you bring your personal life into your business life, and they are married. They really are. And I think my daughter has noticed that. I talk about her sometimes. She works for a dental practice. She actually just switched practices, but she said this new dentist is his dental family is really his family. And she just says, I don't know if I've ever been a part of a business organization that has been like that. And she's really noticed that that is really important to him, which makes it important to everyone in the practice. And I think that is kind of what your philosophy is as well.
It is. I really think that the way we develop our relationships in the workplace really shows us what's possible and how we experience our work. Some people like really think about work in such a negative way.
Right.
And I get it. Like sometimes that's the case. I've definitely worked in, unperfect or imperfect places. But I think with some intention and a few little tricks and tweaks, you can really create a special environment, and that serves both sides, the professional and the personal.
I think I love that. So what are some common organizational challenges that dental practices face in today's world, and how do you address them if you were to come in and work with a team?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's, a couple of different challenges, but one that just really sticks out right now is, for whatever reason, we've seen a lot of trends in our ability to really have like what I would call like a long hauler, like these long hauling teams that I was a part of, where we were there for, 16, 19, 20, 30 years. Some of the people that I worked with are still with that same practice. And that's becoming less and less common, I think. I'm noticing a couple of different, there's a lot of turnover and retention issues in dental practices today. The positive side of that is that practices are growing. And so in that space, we're seeing a lot of new people joining teams. And when you have these people dynamics where people are either leaving or coming onto the team or whatever, there can become a sense of chaos, not malicious chaos, but just that natural chaos of trying to, onboard and integrate someone into your philosophies, your processes, your systems, all of that. And I think that that's become a very noticeable challenge in dental practices today for me and many of my colleagues. And I think that noticing that and actually dealing with that myself, when I was in practice, one of the things that happened to us is we grew pretty quickly. We outgrew our team. The practice outgrew our team really rapidly at one point in the practice. And we felt that same sort of energy that I can see today in practices for the growth side of that. And at the time, my solution was the same in a way that it is today.
Okay.
Our solution then was, oh my gosh, we realized that like we have a team of long haulers. We have all of this wonderful, amazing tribal knowledge, and it all lives in the wrong place. It's all like up here in our minds, right? Like we're flowing and we're in a day-to-day operation that's meaningful and manageable, but it was all here. So when new people were coming onto the team, it's like, oh gosh, like now we have to transfer that knowledge to the people that are sharing those tasks with us.
Yeah.
And at the time in the dinosaur days, Jacqueline, that was done with like a paper binder with, paper binder operations manual that sits on a bookshelf. And
Right.
at the time it was everything. Like that was really important and something that we needed. But over time, it's, the requirements of how we utilize something like that has changed. We had to, think about how to modernize that. So there's been many iterations from my point of view of what that dusty old binder on the bookshelf looks like today. Today, it's a software.
Yeah, I love it. I love
Yeah.
that you've created this software, and I'm really excited to hear more about it and how it works, because I think every dental practice has a level of chaos in their practice. Like, unless they have those SOPs down and exactly what they're going to do. And even then, you're still having to go to, if it's not your workbook, as to kind of follow, maybe you've got it on your computer, but a software app sounds so cool. Like it seems like everyone would have instant access to what is happening. So explain how that works.
That's exactly how it works. It's really just a snapshot of all of the things that make up, it's the machine. It's all of the things that make up the operation of the day. So in a fun little game-like dashboard view, you can see what's happening, who's doing what in the practice that day and who might need help with something. And it even allows us to, if I want to go on vacation next week and I don't want to come back to a backlog of work, it allows me to look at my tasks and see if there's anybody that might be able to help me with that while I'm gone. And I can assign those tasks to that person and I can chat with them and we can have conversations about what's needed. And it attaches those ever so important SOPs to the task. So it really just helps us to streamline in an automated way the things that happen every day, so that knowledge that we gain by working on it together and calibrating those day-to-day operations can stay and be sustainable in a view that's fun, and I'll just say it, slightly feminine. It's kind of pretty and and dainty.
So fun.
I mean, I had to. It's on brand, so I bit girly. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, fellas.
So you're saying if you have an office manager who is not a female, It might be a little bit girly, but you know there's lots of girls on the team. So
That's right. I mean, dentistry is a female-dominated industry, so I'm sorry. There's just a little bit of purple in this software. That's how it rolls.
yeah, even more so than I ever imagined. Like what did I hear? 60% of graduates from dental schools are now women. So
Yes, which is phenomenal because in the late 90s, it was less than 30%. So, so cool to see,
very cool.
um, some lady doctors coming into the folds like that.
It is
So,
cool. And it's such a great profession for, families and people that,
yeah,
really want just a good quality of life. And it's such a caring environment. I just think it's such a
I
fabulous
totally agree. I
thing.
totally agree. And I'm a true testament to that. I started off as a single mom, and dentistry, in a sense, sort of saved my life and saved me from becoming a statistic. It was like I could make it a career, and that's exactly what I've done. And I'm really grateful to our industry for that.
I love it. I remember talking to one dentist and she said, I love single moms. They're my favorite to hire because she's like, they have this network around them and they get things done. And she said, and because, sometimes as a single mom, you worry, well, are they going to make it in if their kids are sick or whatever? And she just was like, I love them. They have a network that can always be available. They figure it out with their kids
They do heroic work. They really do.
and they need their job, so they show up and they take
Right.
care of business. So I loved talking to her about that. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I love that.
so what happens with a team? Like you talked a little bit about the energy of a team when the practice outgrows the team. So what happens to the energy of that team and how do you help preserve that energy by using your app? You kind of
Yeah.
like you talked a little bit about it, but maybe you could, does it integrate with anything or how does
A
it work?
standalone software right now,
Right.
and so it's something that we've thought a lot about this through my coaching. Prior to really developing a software, I've been
Yeah.
coaching teams all across the U.S. and I've been using sort of this framework that is now an automated software in a spreadsheet dynamic. And where I was seeing results and outcomes that were positive from that, I recognized that it still was not quite right because we still had this extra thing to go look at. And although CreateWise task management software is a standalone software, it's
Right.
automated. So the way in which we use it makes there be flow in the operation. And when we talk about energy, I think something interesting, I studied applied neuroscience to kind of uncover some of the human behaviors that show up in the workplace. I'm a big fan of Brene Brown, and she talks a lot about how we focus a lot on problematic behaviors rather than the fears and feelings of people in the workplace. And I just am always fascinated by the neuroscience or the brain, function in the human interaction. And that's a big part of what we do in dentistry.
Yeah.
And something that I learned in going through my training was that 20%, about 20% of our daily energy is actually used by the brain organ. And so if you think about like the fact that we use energy in different ways, right? We use it with if we're going to go exercise, we're exerting energy, different energy in different spaces. And if our brain is utilizing 20% of that energy on a daily basis, and we're working in places that are unorganized, chaotic, frustrating, and all of that, we're probably increasing the amount of energy that we're putting towards our work in an unnecessary way. And it's taking away from our ability to be high performers and happy people and people that can leave the practice as a whole self and not just a shell of self. And I believe that our software solves part of that problem by taking some of the thinking work out of what you have to do, what they're doing. I've heard doctors say it to me all the time. It makes me kind of mad, guys, when they say, I don't know what she's doing up there. It makes me so mad when they're chatting and laughing. And so this solves that problem. It shows you what's happening up there. And oftentimes it's an influx of tasks that have to be managed. And it's okay to take a second to chat and laugh because we're doing 116 tasks as a treatment coordinator
Yeah.
or a scheduling coordinator. And to be able to reveal all of that and work in harmony and support is really the problem that we're trying to solve through our software.
Wonderful. That sounds amazing. I mean, I love that you've pulled in the whole neuroscience part of it because that's such a big part of our everyday with the energy. You know, it's
Yeah,
interesting. I went on a hike with my sister and we were coming down the mountain and then my knees were starting to hurt and she's like, "Here, take these walking sticks. It moves the energy from your knees into your arms."
that's right.
And it made the world of difference. I was
That's
like,
right.
"What? Really? My knee's not hurting me anymore."
I've totally had that experience, actually.
I
It's
was so
magical.
surprised. Like, I was like, seriously? Like, that whole energy that you just talked about makes total sense to me in how another piece of your body can step in and help you with all of that. And it sounds like this piece of software steps in and
Yeah.
really does take the load off of the energy that's being spent
Mhm.
and just thinking through all of the processes through every day.
It's so true. I mean, if you think about like going to the grocery store, many of us know how dangerous it is if we don't go in there without a plan.
Yeah.
You know, if we go into the grocery store without a plan or a list or direction on what we're going to cook that week, we're probably going to spend a whole lot more money on
For
whatever
sure.
it is that we buy.
While we
Or
wander around the store.
yeah, we've all been there, right?
We
And
have, and they say stay out of, all the healthy stuff's outside. Stay on the outside, Yeah.
right, right. So similarly, I think that if we approach our practice with the same mindset of walking into the grocery store with a plan, we can probably save money. I certainly know that we can save energy and we create something altogether awesome. So I'm a big fan of the organization piece in a practice.
I love that so much. So let's talk about if you like the goal is to not just, be organized as a dental practice, but to also thrive, right? So what would it be if you had one piece of advice? Let's just go there for dental professionals looking to enhance their organization and efficiency, outside of if they just didn't feel like they could totally work, could jump all in on the app, can you think of something that maybe they could do to start with today?
Absolutely. I feel like there's probably a lot of things, little things,
Mm.
right? That don't even take a whole lot that we can do. And oftentimes I am approached by individuals that are experiencing like that overwhelming feeling of I don't even know where to start. And for those individuals, I would tell you that I would request just starting with the most simple thing. And that's the thing that we can control, which is ourself and our ability to create at any moment the opportunity of just deep intentional living. And what I mean by that is that, we, especially women who are managing a household, are very busy people. We're managing our households. We're 3 times more likely to be managing our households as a woman with children.
Mhm.
We are a huge part of the workforce and we are distracted, we're busy, and oftentimes intentional living gets forgotten and it's available right now, right here in front of us. And really, that just means sometimes we have to stop and really, really, really think about what's happening around us and how we show up and who we are and how we're feeling and just honor those things so that
Yeah,
you can make the decisions to make the next step or say the next words. And I think it's just a simple reminder that sometimes we just need to slow down just a little bit, even in the most overwhelming, chaotic spaces, to
yeah.
take a breath and analyze how we can just deal with the moment in front of us in a way that's serving not only yourself, but the people around you that you impact.
Just breathe. That's the
Just
answer to
breathe.
everything, right? Just breathe.
I mean, it really is. It is the life giver. Like we can't be living without it. So yes, just
Well,
breathe.
I love it. It definitely calms everything down, like within yourself and then in your environment. And then you start feeling that calmness come over this whole situation. So I think that is a great, great advice. So is
Yeah,
there
thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything additional you'd like to add today before we tell people how to get a hold of you and figure out how to get a hold of demoing your app?
Yeah, I don't know. You know me, we talked about this before this show. I'm a gratitude gal. I think it's the great equalizer. And so I would just say that even the thing I would leave listeners with is even on your hardest day, like just those days can just rob us of so much joy. And so if you're feeling that, and if you're not, if you're having like the best day ever, just take moments, little tiny moments to make sure you find the tiniest thing, even the tiniest, that makes you grateful for what you have in and around you at all times. I think that is our great equalizer. So as we're navigating the chaos of turnover and the chaos of cancellations or overbooking or whatever it is, we can take a second to just find that deep space of gratitude to equalize and all of that. So stay grateful, and that's it.
I love it. I love it. So let's just wrap it up with a little bit about the software that everyone's been waiting for, a software that serves the people side of your business, helps them organize, helps them communicate everything that's going on in the dental practice. How's the best way to get a hold of your team to demo your CreateWise task management software?
Yes. So Jason at CreateWise.com is the guy you want to reach out to be able to schedule a demo to take a look at this awesome new piece of furniture for your practice. Yes, CreateWise is spelled kind of fun. It's CRE, the number 8, WISE. So that's CRE8 WISE. And you can reach him at jason at CreateWise.com. We'd love for you to download our app. We have an app on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. It's kind of separate of the software. We just like to entertain. We create little music playlists for the day that kind of have themes to them. I'll occasionally drop a little educational things on different processes or systems. And sometimes I just like to have fun there. And that's called Organize and Thrive. And otherwise, just reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you or engage you and hear about your experiences in the dental practice.
Thank you. I love it. So if you haven't figured out by now, this whole episode was filled with love, insight, and endless energy and lots of possibilities for helping your practice become organized and so you can thrive and you can have a calmer environment, not just for your team, but for your patients. Just so you know, our podcast today has been sponsored by eAssist Dental Solutions. Please go to dentalbilling.com to learn how eAssist can help you with your revenue cycle management. And just so you know, when a dental practice brings in a third-party dental billing solution like eAssist, it can go hand in hand with a practice that is more organized and has that calm feeling that Samantha promotes with her CreateWise movement. So thank you again for being here, Samantha. It's so fun to have you. What a treat. And I hope you have a great week. And thank you, everyone. Keep smiling, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jacqueline.
You're welcome.
The purpose of this podcast is to interview the consultants within our eAssist Consultant Network. This podcast is for informational purposes only. For more details, please visit the homepage of this podcast platform at dentalbilling.com. Thanks for listening.